after what it happened, because it was big and affect his life. I don't know the details, but I think his harm is different. So it's something really big, and about the mental side, it was very tough. So I mean, from a rider side, it's something crazy and so good to see that.
Yeah, great to see him back to his best. Obviously, we're about to witness a bit of history in motorcycle Grand Prix racing, as Chantra will have the honour of being the first Thai rider to compete in the MotoGP World Championship. You were a rookie once yourself, Andrea, in MotoGP. How do you think he's feeling right now?
Wow, and in Thailand. In Thailand,
yeah.
That's crazy.
No pressure at all.
For that, yeah, but that's so good. I mean, he's very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine making your MotoGP debut in Mazzano or Mugello or something like this.
Crazy.
But do you remember how you felt before your first appearance in MotoGP?
For sure. I remember very well in Qatar 2008. I remember very well. The race has been really good, and I have fun because I battle with Vale until the last lap.
Yeah, not a bad thing to be able to claim from your first MotoGP race. One thing the rookies spoke about during testing was on these MotoGP bikes nowadays, there are so many different buttons, switches, different parameters to have to deal with. Of course, you've got the ride height device as well. Of course, you've ridden these bikes. If you're jumping out of Moto2 onto MotoGP, just how much is there to occupy the brain when you get on these bikes, and how long does it take you to feel natural with all that kind of stuff?
Yes, that is a bit unusual on the bike for a rider, and you have to adapt. But at the end, I don't think it's a big problem for the riders, even because in the way you have to ride the bike now is a bit different, because the bike is so stable. Because there is the rear device, are really good electronics. I mean, the bike is so smooth and stable. That's really good. The other side is a bit very difficult, because with all the downforce you have with the aerodynamics, the bike is so heavy. So that become a bit difficult compared to the other class, because you have to pull the bike, and on the braking you have to put a lot of effort, and that's a bit difficult for a rookie.
We saw yesterday Alex Marquez make a strong start to the new campaign. He has threatened this. Fastest in the Barcelona test, fastest in Sepang as well, of course, instantly clicking with the Ducati GP24, which dominated last year's MotoGP World Championship. And photo bombing his brother as well, just getting in the celebration photos for Ducati Lenovo. Mark himself, Dobby, said that Alex was the big surprise of winter testing. He's a Moto3 World Champion, a Moto2 World Champion. Do you see Alex being ready to maybe take that next step and maybe not fight for the championship to the end, but certainly be a consistent challenger at the front?
Yes, I'm not surprised. I expect a bit more in the past from him, because he's a Moto3 champion, he's a Moto2 champion for a reason. So what happened during the test and what we saw yesterday, it's not just a spot. I think we will see Alex there more or less in every race. To fight for the championship, it will be difficult, but I expect Alex there.
Did you get as excited as what we did about Ayagura's performance in that sprint yesterday? I mean, what a debut.
So good, and it's so good to see him riding. That's really good, and when he was behind Pecco, it was so natural, so I'm really happy for him.
When you look at his riding style, I mean, I know you've been out on circuit spotting and looking at the bikes. I mean, yesterday, I mean, when you look at him now, he does not look like a rookie at all, does he?
No, at all. He's happy. He was happy. No, it was crazy. So natural. But I hope he will continue on that level, because the history says the Japanese are so fast, so strong, but for them it's difficult to stay in a high level for a long time. That told us the past is like that. I hope it will be different.
So far, so good, clearly. I mean, will he be able to fight for the podium once again this afternoon? Pecco Bagnaia said after the sprint yesterday he was having to fight for every single tenth to just make sure he kept the rookie behind him. And I guess, Andrea, for a rookie like to be following a rider like Pecco for 13 laps when Pecco is on the limit, pushing like crazy, pushing like hell, those 13 laps, I would have learned probably more than what he did in the whole 6, 7, 8 days of winter testing.
For sure, that is a dream for a rookie, especially when you follow a rider like a Pecco, a very consistent rider, smooth rider. You learn more when you follow that kind of style.
How scary is a moment like that?
So bad, that's so bad. From MotoGP, you have to be so aggressive because the bike is so low, you can use a lot of power, but you don't have any control about that. You have to release the clutch, so that's really bad.
Has he surprised you so far, Marco Bezzecchi? Of course, moving across from the Ducati to the Aprilia, and of course so much work and so much weight on his shoulders once Jorge Martin went down through injury, but particularly through the Buriram testing this weekend. He's looked very competitive. Has that surprised you?
Yes, a bit. And I was on the track Friday, and it was so nice to see him ride because it was so smooth and the bike looks smooth. I don't know how much they improved the bike. Marco, I think, is a really fast rider. But I think we have to wait different tracks to see his feeling with Aprilia, because I expect even in Argentina very competitive, but let's see after that.
Now we're going to have to let you go very shortly because I know you want to go downstairs and soak up some of the pre-race atmosphere watching inside the factory Yamaha garage, but I can't let you leave without just asking in general how life is. We know you're still very much involved in MotoGP with the Yamaha test team. Are you still enjoying that role, still enjoying riding and the chance to go and play with 300 horsepower in your right hand?
Yeah, it was so strange last year. It happened for a strange reason, and after my big crash on motocross, after 2 months I wasn't ready to come back in a MotoGP, and it wasn't in my mind, but there was a chance, Mugello, just for me. It was a dream, so I couldn't say no. And when I jumped again on the MotoGP, this kind of MotoGP, I really enjoy, and I was excited. I didn't expect that. It was so good to feel that.
Feeling the adrenaline through the veins again. Is there anything that can come close to replicating what it's like to ride a MotoGP bike in life?
No.
I knew that was going to be the answer. Andrea, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you briefly in the commentary box. Our door is always open, so more than welcome anytime you feel free to come and impart your wisdom to our millions of fans watching all around the world. But we'll let you go and enjoy what we hope is going to be a very exciting season opener.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Thank you very much to Andrea Dovizioso, MotoGP legend, joining us this afternoon. And we get ready for the start of the first Grand Prix of 2025. Marc Marquez heads out to the grid to take up a pole position. And how do the rest of the field go about stopping him from converting pole and a sprint win into the race win here this afternoon? 26 punishing laps lie ahead of us, and it's Marc Marquez who's looking to deal out the punishment.
Yeah, who can hack the pace and who can hack the heat in this 26-lap race coming up? Marc Marquez, can anybody beat the 93? He's huge favourite, no question. I think it's fair to say behind the legions of Somkiat Chantra fans here in Thailand, the most vocal support is going the way of the number 93. Can he take the maximum haul of 37 points coming up in about 25 minutes time? He's trying to win the opening Grand Prix for the first time since 2014 in Qatar, a race of course that our special guest Andrea Dovizioso would have been very much involved in. Amazing stat really. Marc Marquez in 15 seasons, the last 15 seasons, only won the opening race twice, and no podium in Grand Prix #1 since 2019. So he's never traditionally been much of a fast starter, has Marquez. But as we mentioned, he would have already taken a big boost of confidence for the way he performed yesterday. He's described Saturday here in Thailand as perfect. Hard to argue with that assessment, as he took pole position and then a dominant sprint victory. Alex Marquez, I think Lewis was behind him and got to corner 5 on lap 1 and thought, oh no, we're in trouble.
Yeah, already realised that victory was perhaps going to be beyond him in the sprint yesterday. And as Dovi said moments ago, surely for both Alex Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia, who it feels like are the two likeliest, if not the two only challengers to Marc Marquez potentially today, they've got to attack him early. They've got to try and get ahead of him, preferably into the very first corner, and make Marquez's life difficult. You feel if Marc Marquez is allowed to lead through this first lap and set his own pace and run his own rhythm, they're not going to see him for much of this Thai Grand Prix. Surely the only tactic for Marquez, the younger, or for Pecco Bagnaia, is to make Marc's life difficult and throw him off his game somehow.
Can Alex Marquez take what would be, you have to say, something of a shock victory, which seems strange to say when he's flying away from second place on the front row of the grid. An outstanding winter testing campaign, though. All that momentum he has carried forward into the new campaign. Best result here, though, in Buriram. A 5th place back in the 2019 Moto2 battle from pole position. It is his 6th front row start. It was as you were at the checkered flag in the front row starters yesterday. The two Marquez brothers leading home. Triple world champion Pecco Bagnaia. And it's going to be fascinating as well to see how Ayagura deals with this full distance Grand Prix, because as we just talked about with Andrea Dovizioso, who like us certainly enjoyed watching the Japanese sensation mix it with the very best at the front of that sprint. This is a different ball game. This is a different proposition. A full fuel tank, the longer double race distance. This is uncharted territory for Ayagura. If Saturday is anything to go by, then he hasn't got too much to worry about. One of 3 rookies, of course, starting their new adventure here this weekend in Thailand. Ayagura with Fermin Aldeguer and Somkhiat Chantra, a close friend of Ayagura, on the cusp of history. Never before have we ever seen a Thai rider compete in the MotoGP World Championship. Well, that's about to end in 20 minutes time, because Somkhiat Chantra will do just that, and I'm delighted to say he's with Jack on the grid.
He is indeed, with that signature smile already across his face. Somkhiat, what an occasion this is. Over 200,000 people this weekend have come to cheer you on. What are your emotions like ahead of your debut Grand Prix?
Oh, for me, was very, very happy, and also see all the fans here to support all the rider and also on me also. And for me, was a very nice weekend for me, because it's also this was my home race also, and I will try all my best and my maximum on today.
26 laps are a long race. What's the target?
For me, my target to be understand the bike and also understand the Thai life, how we can manage this, and I think we will manage good, and let's see on the list.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
Doesn't sound too nervous, doesn't sound too apprehensive. As if he was going to, well, lacking support, he is not here in Thailand. There has been every corner of Buriram, pretty much every corner of Thailand, I think, now this weekend. You're going to see somebody who is sporting some 35 merchandise as we look through the grid. Front row, as you mentioned, the Marquez brothers and Pecco Bagnaia. We're keeping a close eye a little bit further back to come through, Lewis.
Well, Somkhiat Chantra, of course, will have the eyes of around about 50, 60,000 or so here in Buriram, certainly in this main grandstand, which is absolutely packed, all focused on him. But in terms of riders out of position on the grid, Frankie Morbidelli 3 places out of position, of course, because of that penalty that he sustained on Friday. Expect him to come through. And the KTMs, in particular Brant Binder, who we saw racing through in the sprint yesterday, 14th on the grid, out of position given his race pace. Expect him to come charging through into that top 10.
4th place on the grid, we'll see Prima Pramuk Yamaha rider Jack Miller launch away. Unfortunate not to build on that with a top 6 in the sprint yesterday. He was fighting close to that top 5 when he went down in that 13 lapper. Let's get some thoughts from the boss. Gino Borsoy, who's with Jack?
Gino, Jack was brilliant yesterday up until the crash, missing out on that full sprint and all of that data. How much do you think that could hurt him today?
Yeah, fortunately we have more rider to check the data to have an idea about the consumer of the tire and also the gasoline. Could be the two key of the race today. Temporarily quite similar yesterday, even a bit more, and so will be so hard to finish the race. The last 5 laps for the tire point of view could be a nightmare for them, not only physically but also on the tire point of view. So let's see. From our data, can be difficult to finish, but they have to start from the beginning to manage the tire.
Thanks, Gino.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Jack in the boiling hot heat of the grid, and an atmosphere that is now starting to build up as we count down to the first Grand Prix of the season, the traditional Thai drum show. The Sabachai drum, which originates from the fortuitous victory drum, was played during war times as a signal of battle, and the battle is just under 20 minutes away from commencing here in the opening MotoGP Grand Prix of 2025.
Always fantastic to enjoy some of the local culture here in Thailand, a very proud nation, and they are going to be immensely proud when one of their own launches away in this 26-lap Thai Grand Prix. Somkiat Chantra did make his Grand Prix debut here on our first visit to Thailand back in 2018, 9th in the Moto3 battle on that day, and then of course, who will ever forget 2 years ago in Buriram when he took that 3rd place in the Moto2 race, where the roof was nearly lifted off that main grandstand on the right-hand side of your picture. Time for cool heads, time for composure, because this, without any question, is going to be one of the toughest races of the entire season. 22 rounds, 19 countries, all coming your way over the next 9 months or so. Johann Zarco, who I don't think we're being too harsh to say has struggled somewhat in the past, maybe in the hotter climates. You see, he just gets some final instructions, just a whisker outside the point scoring places in that sprint yesterday, almost top Honda, and that went to Juan Mir.
Well, as we touched upon already, it's not only the heat of the weather here, the ambient temperature, which is in excess of 35 degrees. It's the heat from the motorcycle as well that's underneath you, so hot that Fabio Di Giannantonio had to park it yesterday, and that was in the 13-lap sprint. He's got to go double the distance if he's to see the checkered flag today. The Moto2 riders were speaking of their motorcycles getting over 100 degrees Celsius underneath them, and of course you're having to grip on tightly and essentially hug the motorcycle and get right down under the bubble down the straight. So there is absolutely no respite from these conditions, either in the sky or underneath you. Yeah, we have heard of 2 or 3 riders in the smaller classes over the course of this weekend suffering from heat exhaustion, jumping off their bikes in practice and vomiting in the garage. It really is going to be such a tough test of both man and machine. Hard on the brain, hard on the body. Of course, as you start to physically fatigue, then that's when it's really tough mentally to keep the focus and the concentration as well. But we are going the full distance, 26 laps, as he's got the Alpine Stars ice vest on. Will he be the star of the show once again? Marc Marquez keeping himself in the zone. Well, there was no question, no debate whatsoever was there yesterday. A rider of the day went to Trackhouse Racing Aprilia's Ayagura, 4th place in the sprint, not even a second behind Pecco Bagnaia in 3rd place. Can he produce more brilliance today in Buriram? Well, let's find out from the boss, Davide Brivio, who joins Jack.
Davide, aye, the MVP yesterday, according to Frankie Morbidelli, and I think everybody else in the paddock, but I get the sense today is a very different equation. How's he feeling ahead of it?
Yeah, of course, this has been a great surprise yesterday, but we keep in the bag. It's done, and now, yeah, we're looking forward to the big race, and let's see. Of course, we're starting in a good position. This is a good track where we tested, so it's quiet, it's relaxed. I mean, we have nothing to lose. We just try to do our best, and let's see. But what made me happy about yesterday's performance is that you can see that there is, I mean, the talent is there, and there is substance, and we have a kind of a diamond. Now we need to work around that, and of course we will have bad days, good days, but it's something that I think we can enjoy to continue to work on.
Thanks, Davide.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Davide Brivio. Ayagura, fair to say, he's got quite an affinity with the Chang International Circuit because he was here only 4 months ago that he was the first Japanese rider to win a Grand Prix championship in 15 years, a product of the successful Asia Talent Cup system. Now then, we're all posing one big question going into the new campaign, aren't we? How on earth do you stop Marc Marquez in the factory Ducati red? Well, one man who might have the answers is the boss, Davide Tardozzi. I'm delighted to say joins Jack.
Yeah, great to be able to chat with Davide. I get the sense, Davide, that Marc is the only man that can beat himself today. Do you agree with that?
It seems that looking also to the warm-up, but I guess that Alex and Pecco will try hard to stay with him at least. Then we'll see what it's going to be in the end of the race, because today I think that a big issue, a big question mark is the health, you know, because it will be very, very, very tough to finish the race. The hot is incredible, so I think that this could be an issue in the second part of the race.
We just spoke to Gino and he said he thinks for his guys it's going to be very tough to get to the end of the race, a nightmare he described it. Is it going to be the same issue for both of your guys?
I'm pretty sure that and confident that those guys that are not only fast riders but are athletes, you know. So I think that they are well prepared and they will have no problem. But again, the hot of the bikes, and you saw yesterday Di Gianantonio, will be really, really tough. I spoke with riders of other brand and they say the same.
Thanks, Davide. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to Davide Tardozzi, Ducati Lenovo team boss. There are clearly some genuine concerns about the excruciating heat that we've experienced all weekend here in Buriram. A lot of riders, as Lewis mentioned yesterday, Fabio Di Gianantonio just could not continue. The burning on his arms and his legs, it was just too much for the Italian. Let's not forget, these are some of the toughest athletes in world sport. Pain sometimes is the name of the game. They don't quit on their stools, do they? So you can just gives you an idea of how much suffering Fabio Di Gianantonio was going through. So yeah, we're going to be keeping a close eye, particularly in that second half, those sort of final 10, 11, 12, 13 laps, just to see how much of an influence the heat could prove to be.
Yeah, normally I'd give anything to be on a MotoGP grid just once in my life, but I'm not sure I quite want to be in the boots of these 22 fine athletes this afternoon with the challenge they've got ahead of them. What I will say, though, is in about 60 seconds' time, if there was one rider I'd love to be in the shoes and in the mind of, it's Somkhiat Chantra. In just under 60 seconds' time, we will have the Thai national anthem. We will have thousands upon thousands of his countrymen on their feet singing the national anthem as Somkhiat gets ready for his home Grand Prix debut. As we mentioned, unfortunately, Daniele Romagnoli side by side with the Aprilia test rider Lorenzo Savadori. Of course, plan A was to be side by side once again with reigning world champion Jorge Martin. That not possible as the Martinator, yeah, I'm stealing that one from a very clever fan in the grandstands, is on the recovery process once again. Austin, Texas, later this month, the earliest, we'll see the reigning world champion. You know how hot it is. Salvadori's Thai grid girl there was wiping sweat off her brow, so even the locals are suffering, as we will now pause for a spectacular and special rendition of the Thai national anthem.
beautiful in Buriram. Local school children having the absolute honour of singing the national anthem in front of a packed grandstand, capacity crowd almost here at the Chang International Circuit. The heat's rising, and so is the anticipation and the expectation here in Buriram. We are, what, about 7 minutes or so away from lights out in our first of 22 Grand Prix. Let's go back down to Jack. Of course, it's been a sensational weekend, hasn't it, for Gresini Racing, and in particular Alex Marquez. Second on the grid, second in the sprint. Can he topple brother Mark, though, in the Grand Prix? Let's get the thoughts of Michele Massini.
Michele, brilliant weekend for Alex so far, knocking on the door, putting Mark under as much pressure as possible. Will that pressure finally pay today, do you think?
I think that we would like to repeat the result of yesterday, of course, try maybe something more, but we will manage the tire completely in different way today, so we have to see the last 10 laps where we are.
Do you think we'll see Alex try anything different on the opening lap to stop Mark getting into his rhythm?
I think that the important, like always, is the start, so we have to arrive to the first corner in the best way possible.
Thanks, Michele, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michele. Thanks, Jack. You do feel that any prayer of Alex Marquez or Pecco Bagnaia or anybody else for that matter, having desires on winning this Thai Grand Prix, they somehow have to get ahead of Marc Marquez very early, maybe even as early as that run down to the first corner. The Marquez boys, the first brothers to start on the front row of the grid together in the modern MotoGP era. The first time yesterday, of course, they've finished a sprint, first and second. They have finished together on a MotoGP podium previously. They're the first siblings to do so in 27 years. Last season, in that memorable German Grand Prix at the Sachsenring, in just over 27 minutes' time, they both might be back together on the podium, trying to keep himself cool. We know he's the epitome of cool, calm and collected most of the time, isn't he, Ayagura? Best MotoGP qualifying debut since Fabio Quartararo back in 2019. I think he's going to have it all on, I think, to fight for the podium again today. But it's all about the learning, all about gaining the knowledge, building up that data inside the brain and inside the computer. And he's got a few Japan fans here as well. Go I is the message from the grandstands.
Well, he's made a habit this weekend of making a complete mockery of the expectations we and he had of him coming into this weekend. I asked him on Friday whether the plan was to get into Q2, whether that was a target. He said, nope, that was a complete surprise to me. So imagine how he must have felt to put it in the middle of the second row of the grid and then finish fourth right behind Pecco Bagnaia. Ayagura has already proven he more than belongs at this level. Can he back up his sprint showing yesterday by somehow getting himself into the top six again this afternoon? He is going to be putting his physicality to the test. He's going to know exactly what MotoGP is all about in the next hour or so.
The last rookie to podium on debut in MotoGP, well, he's right on your screens right now. Of course, it was Marc Marquez, third place in the opener in Qatar back in 2013, a season where Marquez just carved his way through the record books. Can Ayagura create a little bit of history for himself? If he does so, we have not had a Japanese rider on a dry MotoGP podium since Shinya Nakano in Assen, all the way back in 2006, nearly 20 years ago. Chantra fans, welcome to Buriram. They always curate such a special atmosphere, don't they? It really is a bucket list event, this Buriram Grand Prix. If you've ever fancied an overseas trip somewhere in the world to take in a bit of MotoGP, well, I would thoroughly recommend the Chang International Circuit. A great atmosphere, great vibe in the town, real party atmosphere as we're about to get the party started in 2025.
Fabio Quartararo looking to go forwards from 10th position on the grid. One of three Japanese motorcycles on that fourth row of the grid. Quartararo, Mir and Zarco start together on that fourth row, proving that the Japanese manufacturers are closing the gap to the very front of MotoGP. They're still not where they want to be and where they were used to be.